Yeah. I'd like to call this meeting of your Newark City Council to order. Janine, please call roll.
Mr. Blake,
Here.
Mr. Fennell,
Here.
Ms. Hall, Mr. Harris.
Here.
Ms. Hottinger. Here. Mr. Labutus.
Here.
Mr. Lang. Mr. Marmy.
Present.
Mr. Rath.
Here.
Mr. Barker.
Here. We have 8 either here or present this evening. Next on the agenda, we have the invocation. If you please rise by Mr. Labutus, followed by the pledge of allegiance. Mr. Labutus.
Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, as we come to you this evening, we thank you for this day that you have given us, a day to serve you and to serve our city. I ask that you be in our time this evening, be with our discussions, deliberations, help them to be pleasing to you, and be with our time this evening. May it be a blessing. Be with us in all we do and say. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Next, we have the Pledge of Allegiance. It will be by Avery Sullivan, a 7th grader at St. Francis School. Avery, you want to get started?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Avery. Nice job. Next on the agenda, we have caucus. That's the time for council to discuss anything pertaining to the agenda tonight, and we will welcome our new council member, Ms. Sherry Hoffman. Ms. Hoffman?
Yes, I will need to abstain on resolution 2167 due to my employer.
Okay. Anything else for caucus evening, Mr. Marmon?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion to excuse Ms. Hall and Mr. Lang.
Motion to excuse Ms. Hall and Mr. Lang. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Blake. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes. Thank you. Anything else for caucus? Next, we have the minutes of our November 1st, 2021 meeting. The motion to approve those. Motion by Mr. Labutus.
Second.
Second by Mr. Barker. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes. Thank you. We have one appointment this evening. Council appointing Mark Labutus and Warren Weber to the Community Reinvestment Area Housing Council. Terms commencing January 1, 2022 and expiring December 31, 2024. Is there a motion to approve that?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Barker, second by Mr. Harris. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes. Thank you. We have 3 reports this evening from standing committees, one from finance, one from service, and one from personnel. Without objection, those will be received and filed. We have 2 reports this evening from city officials, one from our auditor, Ryan Bell, operating report for the period ending October 31st, 2021, and our tax administrator, Brenda Cooper, the income tax revenue report for the period ending October 31st, 2021. Without objection, those will be received and filed. Next, under communications, we have one from the Ohio Division of Liquor Control, a new liquor permit for application for Dolgen Midwest LLC, DBA Dollar General, 1780 Cherry Valley Road in Newark, Ohio. That will be received and filed. Next on the agenda, we have comments from citizens. That's the time for you to be heard. This is not a debate with council or a question and answer period. This is just a time for you to tell us what you have in mind. And first, we're going to start. If you'd like to speak, please raise your hand so I can call you up in order. First, we'll start with Gary Babcock. Is there anyone else?
I'm going to use a different name tonight.
That's why I called you by your name.
Okay. Gary Babcock, Philmont Avenue here in Newark. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Those are 2 words I like to use. I want to thank the present council for all you do. You're probably the most underpaid people in Licking County right now. Thank you for your decisions, mayor, law director. Thank you. Newly elected officials. I see a couple of them here, a young lady in the back, and going to be my best friend, Michael. He lives just a few blocks from me. Thank you for running and congratulations. Thank you to those leaving. I see a couple of faces are leaving. Those who ran, Bill Koff, thank you. Gives us a choice. That's great. And with that being said, I hope Jeremy Blake and Bill Cost remain active in our community. They've done lots of good. Lots of good. I want to see their name in the paper once in a while. They just do a great job. So stick around. Thank you. Oh, let's see. Prayers to Dee Hall. Like she's still struggling. I've not heard, so I guess no news is fair news. Welcome, Sherry Hottinger. I suppose we allowed to call you Sherry, or is it Sherry Hottinger? And as Forrest Gump would say, that's all I got to say.
Yeah, that was so nice. I'll probably let you speak again.
Might have to turn the mic up.
Would anyone else like to speak this first section while Everett's on his way up? You'll let me know. Again, there's one other section after the legislation. Everett?
Eric McKee, 255 Upson Downs Road. I have a couple things to talk about here. Well, actually one, but just a preface to that. I feel like I've been very fortunate to live in a city that's both secure and also with the opportunity to have gone to electronic school to get my degree in electronics, where I used that at the Newark Telephone Company for 35 years. And I still do that sort of thing. So I'm very fortunate to have had all these opportunities. I have not had the experience of homelessness or anything like that. I was mostly sheltered from all those things until I became the videographer, an opportunity to become the videographer for the New York City Council meeting, where I found out a lot of things that I didn't know before, both good and bad. And it has been a great opportunity. And I appreciate the city for allowing me to have that opportunity. But one of the things that has been one of the primary things that I'm concerned about is the homeless thing. And that's what I'm going to talk about here. It took me 2 hours to compose this, but it's not going to take 2 hours to say it. So anyway, I'm going to read it because I can't remember. Anyway, all humans have a fundamental right to food and shelter. And our community has a moral responsibility to provide for that. We all have certain rights, but no one has the right to cause harm or violate the rights of others while exercising our rights. At one of the council meetings, it was mentioned that everybody complains that something needs to be done, but no one offers a solution. Well, 2 weeks ago, a lady did offer a number of solutions for the homeless. I don't see her here tonight. I wish she was here. I ran across a video about a city in Texas, and I can't remember the name of the city because I tried to find the video again, and you know how it is to try to find the video again. Anyway, this city was dealing with it. The mayor led the construction of managed tent cities within the city. I won't get into the details of that, but it is working and is planned to expand tent cities throughout the city. So this is an example of how things can get done. Our city, as well as others, are constrained by the structure of our economic system. But that system is also the cause of these problems, even including global climate change. I realize that the system isn't going to change anytime soon. But there's no reason why we can't provide a real solution now. Maybe patches, but at least it'll be something. If we can't accomplish anything within the current structure, then adjust it and change some of the rules to deal with this major problem. I think that there are plenty of people, as well as the city, who would be willing to donate some time and resources, as well as the local organizations dedicated to the problem. So let's get innovative and stop kicking the homeless down the road. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Next on the agenda, we have ordinances on the second reading. We have none tonight. And we go to ordinances on the first reading, 21-36.
Ordinance number 21-36 by Mr. Marmy, Mr. Barker, and Mr. Rath, an ordinance amending the position, classification, pay range, and department authorization tables of the City of Newark Department of Public Service Division of Streets and Traffic by creating the classification of equipment operator and setting the compensation therefore.
21-36 will be held at our next meeting on December 6th. And next on the first reading, we have 21-37.
Ordinance number 21-37 by Mr. Rath and Mr. Barker, an ordinance authorizing and directing the Newark City Safety Director to certify to the Licking County Auditor the sum of $285,349 incurred by the Newark City Property Maintenance Department with respect to property maintenance violations to be placed as a lien upon certain parcels of real property situated in the city of Newark, Ohio.
21-37 will be held to our next meeting for December 6th. Next, we go to resolutions on the second reading, 21-65.
Resolution number 21-65 by Mr. Marmy, Mr. Harris, Mr. Barker, and Mr. Rath, a resolution appropriating monies for current expenses of the municipal corporation.
You've heard the second reading of 21-65. What is your wish?
Mr. President,
Mr. Marmy.
make a motion to adopt resolution 21-65.
Motion by Mr. Marmy,
Second.
second by Mr. Barker. Is there any discussion on 21-65? Seeing none, Janine, please call the roll to vote.
Mr. Blake,
Yes.
Mr. Fennell,
Yes.
Ms. Hall, Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger,
Yes.
Mr. Labutus,
Yes.
Mr. Lang, Mr. Marmy,
Yes.
Mr. Rath,
Yes.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
21-65 passes 8-0. Next, we have 21-67.
Resolution number 21-67 by Mr. Marmy, Mr. Barker, and Mr. Rath, a resolution authorizing and directing the Director of Public Service for the City of Newark, Ohio, to enter into a lease purchase agreement with Park National Bank for the lease purchase of 4 police cruisers for the Division of Police.
You've heard the second reading of 21-67. What is your wish?
Mr. President,
Mr. Marmy.
make a motion to adopt resolution 21-67.
Motion to adopt by Mr. Marmy,
Second.
second by Mr. Labutus. Is there any discussion on 21-67? Seeing none, Janine, please call the roll to vote.
Mr. Blake,
Yes.
Mr. Fennell,
Yes.
Ms. Hall, Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger,
Abstain?
Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang, Mr. Marmy,
Yes.
Mr. Rath,
Yes.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
We have 7 yes and 1 abstention, so the 21-67 passes. And next, we have 21-68.
Resolution number 21-68 by Mr. Rath, Mr. Barker, and Mr. Marmy, a resolution authorizing and directing the Director of Public Service for the City of Newark, Ohio, to advertise for bids and enter into a cooperative construction agreement with Pathways of Central Ohio, subject to the appropriation of funds for construction of a retaining wall.
You've heard the second reading of 21-68. What is your wish?
Mr. President,
Mr. Rath.
I'd like to make the motion to adopt 21-68.
Motion by Mr. Rath,
Second.
second by Mr. Barker. Is there any discussion on 21-68? Seeing none, Janine, please call the roll to vote.
Mr. Blake,
Yes.
Mr. Fennell,
Yes.
Ms. Hall, Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger,
Yes.
Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang, Mr. Marmy,
Yes.
Mr. Rath,
Yes.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
21-68 passes 8-0. Next, we'll go to resolutions on the first reading, 21-69.
Resolution number 21-69 by Mr. Marmy, Mr. Barker, and Mr. Rath, a resolution appropriating monies for current expenses of the municipal corporation.
21-69 will be held at our next meeting on December 6th. Second reading. Then we go to 21-70.
Resolution number 21-70 expedite by Mr. Marmy, Mr. Barker, and Mr. Rath, a resolution appropriating monies for current expenses of the municipal corporation.
21-70, Mr. Marmy.
Thank you, Mr. President. Make a motion to waive the 2-day reading rule on resolution 21-70.
Motion to waive the 2-day reading rule by Mr. Marmy,
Second.
second by Mr. Barker. Mr. Marmy.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have to expedite some of these items. We have a payout, which we always want to expedite that to get the funds to the appropriate person. Plus, we have a couple of items that we needed to move the money in order to make sure that we meet some deadlines. So we need to move those quickly so that some purchases can be made.
Thank you, Mr. Marmy. Janine, please call the roll to waive the 2-day reading rule.
Mr. Blake,
Yes.
Mr. Fennell,
Yes.
Ms. Hall, Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger,
Yes.
Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang, Mr. Marmy,
Yes.
Mr. Rath,
Yes.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
Two-day reading rule has been waived. Mr. Marmy,
Thank you, Mr. President. Make a motion to adopt resolution 21-70.
motion to adopt by Mr. Marmy,
Second.
second by Mr. Barker. Discussion on 21-7. Seeing none, Janine, please call the roll vote.
Mr. Blake,
Yes.
Mr. Fennell,
Yes.
Ms. Hall, Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger,
Yes.
Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang, Mr. Marmy,
Yes.
Mr. Rath,
Yes.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
21-70 passes 8-0. And next, we have 21-71.
Resolution number 21-71 by Mr. Marmy, Mr. Barker, Mr. Rath. A resolution authorizing the city of Newark to use an employee dishonesty and faithful duty policy in lieu of individual surety bonds pursuant to ORC 3.061 and declaring an emergency.
21-71 is on its first reading, but it's emergency. What is your wish?
Mr. President,
Mr. Marmy,
make a motion to adopt resolution 21-71.
motion to adopt by Mr. Marmy, second by Mr. Labutus. Is there any discussion on 21-71? Seeing none, Janine, please call the roll vote.
Mr. Blake,
Yes.
Mr. Fennell,
Yes.
Ms. Hall, Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger,
Yes.
Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang, Mr. Marmy,
Yes.
Mr. Rath,
Yes.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
21-71 passes 8-0. And finally, tonight, we have 21-72.
Resolution number 21-72 by Mr. Rath and Mr. Barker, a resolution authorizing and directing the Director of Law to prepare and submit a petition to conform the boundaries of the city of Newark and of the townships of Newark, Granville, Newton, Madison, and Union, and Licking County, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
21-72 is on its first reading, but it is an emergency. What is your wish?
Mr. President,
Mr. Rath,
I can make a motion to adopt 21-72.
wish to adopt by Mr. Rath,
Second.
second by Mr. Labutus. Is there any discussion on 21-72?
Mr. President,
Mr. Rath,
it says the emergency clause on it, so that we could meet publication deadlines, taxation deadlines before the first of the year.
thank you, Mr. Rath. Anyone else? Janine, please call the roll vote.
Mr. Blake,
Yes.
Mr. Fennell,
Yes.
Ms. Hall, Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger,
Yes.
Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang, Mr. Marmy,
Yes.
Mr. Rath,
Yes.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
And 21-72 passes 8-0. And that concludes our legislation tonight. Thank you. Okay. Back to our agenda. We have comments from citizens again. Again, this is not a debate or a question and answer period with council. This is just your opportunity to be heard. If you'd like to speak, please raise your hand. Anyone else? Ms. Blaine? I'll do the calling up. How about that? Come on up.
So,
Name and address for the record.
last name is Blaney and first name is Kim. And I live at 1407 Misty Glen Drive in Newark. I will have lived in Newark for 65 years from the first of the year. I really feel I'm making a mistake coming down here and speaking. So just keep my mouth shut. And, just, I've been told coming down here and expressing my opinion is only making my case worse. So anyway, I just have a couple points. I was in Toastmasters for years, so hopefully I could make my point. The first point is I just want to be accommodated as a trans person. And with Jeremy leaving, I think you've been a champion for the community. I think with you gone, it's kind of quite worrisome what could happen. I watched the governor's race to Virginia, and it's interesting to see that the trans issue was a wedge issue that helped decide that. So I think we can expect things to get a lot worse. So just ask for people to be accommodated. I'm trying to make a point here. We own 100% of Rice Street. It's taken me 42 years to buy those 3 acres one part at a time. I guess I was naive on what I should have done. I should have borrowed some more money and tore down about 6 houses. And if I can get the financing, we'll tear down 4 this coming year. So I just need to be accommodated at times if somebody lives here and works here and, buys an entire north block, south block. And maybe you can have the street abandoned, just maybe accommodate someone. Right now, the property maintenance, nothing against them. But maybe somebody else, another department could assist, or maybe you could write a line in the property maintenance if somebody buys the whole neighborhood and has plans to demolish it and put something commercial. 3 acres on 21st Street is a reasonable amount of land. I guess the second point I'll make real quick. I've been substitute teaching for half a dozen years or longer. And I've discovered that, yes, you can punish someone when they do something inappropriate, like you guys are punishing me by putting a tax lien on my property. And hopefully I can, if it hasn't gone to the second reading, I can make payments on that. So it's quite embarrassing to have that situation. Besides punishing someone, sometimes you can reward somebody. I think that's better. But what I discovered and how I've been successful, a lot of people don't understand the third way to accomplish something. You partner with someone. When I have students act up, you just kind of shrug your shoulder and you need more time to, you work with these students and you develop a relationship. Instead of punishing them, instead of holding some carrot out in front of them, you say, hey, this is a situation, let's work together, let's make something happen. I know we've discussed this, it's down by the railroad, but it's 3 acres of commercial property. And I think, I would hope somebody in this room, somebody in this administration, some employee could find a way to, even if you don't have any money for me, maybe just help me through the process of tearing them down, helping me with the process of combining them. And because I think it's at least, it's a lot of land, and I think it's better use than a bunch of old rundown houses. And I would sure love to demolish them all, and I would sure love to make something commercial on that. So anyway, that's my thoughts, and thank you for the time. And I guess I made a mistake coming down here, so thank you.
All right, ma'am.
Linda Moss, Solar 224 Green Meadow Drive in Newark. First of all, I'd like to just bring you up to date. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that the Homeless Outreach was having a health fair. We did have that health fair. It consisted of hepatitis C testing, HIV testing. We gave flu shots, hepatitis A shots, and COVID shots. 22 people were tested for hepatitis C. And 2 people did test positive. We were able to get treatment for those 2 people. So we were very proud of that. We hope to do this at least every 3 months. It's a little hard to do it in the winter because, as you all know, we're outside. But this helps prevent the transfer of disease in the community. I also would like to thank the Newark Pride. They did a coat ride for us on Saturday, because we went through every single coat that we had in storage on Saturday. We had about 100 and had over 100 people come through our line on Saturday. Not all of those are unsheltered. Some of them are just coming for a hot meal, but we were able to see people without coats who had blankets wrapped around them and say, looks like you need a coat, a hat, or some gloves. And in most cases, we were able to provide that. What I would also like to address is, Newark Homeless Outreach is under the umbrella of Ohio CAN, and that stands for Change Addiction Now. And part of that vision is to bring people's voices to addiction and recovery. And our mission is to embrace, educate, and empower those whose lives have been impacted by substance use. And as part of that mission, we try to work with people who are not only working with the unsheltered, but other agencies. And at the last meeting, there was a concern expressed that fentanyl testing strips were being found on the playground at the Salvation Army. And as part of our working relationship with Lieutenant Caitlin, I felt that she needed to be aware of this concern. So I did email her, and I will just read her reply. Our playground is only used by residents with children and is monitored by the staff. It is actually locked when not in use. We have not had an issue with this. We only allow children under supervision, not in playground, for protection of the children under our policies. Our grounds are also cleaned multiple times a day by our staff. Thank you for bringing us to our attention. So I just want to, to maybe express some relief that fentanyl testing strips are not being found on the playground. If this Lieutenant Caitlin would have replied, yes, they are, I would have continued my dialogue with her to let her know that the touching fentanyl does not cause a person to overdose. There's been myths that if you touch the powder or you touch a substance that contains fentanyl, that you can overdose. That has been proven untrue. So I just think we also need to be aware of that. Fentanyl is a problem in Ohio. For some reason, Ohio is targeted for a lot of the illegal substances that do contain fentanyl, and they can be contained in everything from fast pills to basically methamphetamine. So it's not just a fentanyl substance that's coming into the community. On a positive note, I was really pleased to hear that Governor DeWine has started, and I want to make sure I get the name right, Beat the Shame Stigma campaign. And this campaign is to address the stigma associated with mental health and addiction. And in his words, he said, DeWine says addiction and mental health experts understand that these are diseases, not a moral failing or a result of a weak character. He says the campaign attacks stigma directly. Stigma can be devastating to those who are living with these diseases, DeWine said. Not only adding to the hardships of addiction and mental illness, but also preventing them from seeking the help they need. And I think, I'm not sure what all this campaign will entail. From what I understand, there will be billboards, there will be radio spots, there'll be TV spots, but there'll also be an opportunity for people to engage interactively and be asked a question. And one of the examples they gave was somebody asking a young person, well, how do people begin to use drugs? And basically, the person answered, they hang around with the wrong people. And that is the misconception. And so they were corrected and told what they, real reason that maybe people become involved in drugs. So I think this campaign will help address some of the issues that we face, not only just the general public. I know being at the outreach and working, I spent most of my life working in social service and in some of it in prevention, drug and alcohol prevention. But it has been an education for me, being around people who are unsheltered. And I'll just give you a very quick example. One of the things I did last winter is I bought those Mylar sheets that you've seen people, when we had the people who were in the camps. I bought those with you. Well, they could wrap those around themselves and maybe keep them warm inside a sleeping bag. And I was talking to one of the people who was using a sleeping bag. He said, the only problem with that is when you try to keep your face warm and you pull it up, you breathe on it, it forms condensation, and then that forms ice crystals. Something I would not have thought of. And I'll give you one more example, and is somebody also pointed out those bags of leaves you see on the side of the street. They said that they do, collect those because they do form insulation when they are sleeping outside. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any city officials this evening? Okay. Honorable Law Director Moore.
Thank you. I have kind of a proud mom moment today. We attended the fur ball a couple weeks ago, and the Newark Law Director's Office was given the 2021 Humane Hero Award. So I wanted to acknowledge all the prosecutors in my office, Amy Davison, Caroline Clippinger, Mike King, Mike Cox, for their hard work. We have a lot of COVID cases come through our office. We've had hoarding, We've had cases of 62 animals crammed into a van being transported across state lines. We've had a dog that died of heat exhaustion without water or food in the backyard of its owner. We've had a lot of broken bones, a lot of sick animals that were getting the care they needed. And I gotta tell you, the prosecutors in my office, they pursue these cases with as much passion as they pursue any cases. So I just wanted to give them some recognition here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Hall.
Mr. President, thank you. I'll congratulate Shirley, our law director, and her team. They do a wonderful job working with them each day, and it comes to record. So I want to welcome Sherry on board and to the at-large position, and certainly appreciate her willingness and everyone up here to serve on council. That's outstanding. And finally, this past Thursday was Veterans Day, and you couldn't be probably more proud in this community than how this community honors our veterans. Both those living and those that gave the ultimate sacrifice. At 11 o'clock in the morning on 6th Street Park, sitting right next to me here, gave a wonderful speech. I was participating in that also, and Shirley Doug Stout from the library, but they did an outstanding job, and a representative from Senator Corcoran's office. So the weather was beautiful. We probably had 120 people, maybe more than that. It was a great turnout, and it's just wonderful that the Veteran Service Organization, everybody kind of gets together and does that great ceremony. And then there was stuff throughout the day, and then we joined up at the Trout Club also from 5 to 7, and there was a nice event up there also to honor the veterans. So it makes you very proud to be a member of this community when the community reaches out and keeps stops for a moment during the week and honors them. So with that, I'll pass. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Blake.
Thank you, Mr. President. I need to call a rules committee meeting for the next council meeting date. Also want to congratulate the newly elected folks, and also want to welcome Sherry to council. I'll be able to serve with you for 3 meetings, so it's exciting that there's a little overlap. I want to thank Linda for your comments and for the leadership at North Homeless Outreach. The storage building looks nice down there, so finally I know that was something of a roller coaster to finally get that done, but it looks very nice down there. And appreciated your comments regarding the campaign against stigma and trying to destigmatize issues related around individuals with mental health addiction services, addiction. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. In saying that, I also want to thank Law Director Moore and Director Motter, who attended the BHP grand opening for the Care Now Clinic that is on East Main Street. That clinic is going to serve, well, it's already served, another hat that I wear is president of the board for BHP, and I know they've had a few dozen folks come through their doors already. This is dealing with folks that necessarily aren't in crisis, but yet they're individuals that need care. And so these people have gone to the center already. They received the proper services, and these are new individuals to our avenue of care. And so it's very exciting to hear that that's being taken care of. I mean, there were several members of our law enforcement support system, and it was a very well-attended grand opening. So I think it's exciting to see the referrals that will start going through there so we can help people. BHP is most definitely going to be an organization that's going to make an impact in our community because they care. They're going to try to change lives. A second piece of that is that last Friday, I've talked about this before, is that this position for a neighborhood specialist. Last Friday, United Way released their funding dollars, and we received the remaining dollars that were needed for that neighborhood outreach specialist. So we were able to raise the needed dollars to get the money there, and now we can finally get the person hired and get them on the street to get more people the care that they need. So I'm excited about those 2 particular initiatives that BHP is running, just to bring council up to date. And with that, Leo.
Thank you, Mr. Blake. Mr. Fennell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would also like to welcome Chair Hottinger to council. Be a pleasure to serve with you again, like I said, for about 3 meetings. Also, to the rest of the individuals who ran, and not just one, I just want to thank everyone who did run and congratulate everybody for those who were successful in their race. And I look forward to seeing the work that you will do, and I hope that you serve the city here. Also, congratulations, Law Director. I know I love animals. That was some pretty happy news. Please don't hurt me with that. And with that, I will.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Harris.
I thank you, Mr. President. I want to congratulate all those who won, and I want to congratulate Sherry for her appointment. Look forward to working with everyone, and I just want to let everyone know that lost is staying courage. I've been on that side. It's no fun, but you'll bounce back, and it'll be all right. So I've been there, so it'll be fine. So with that, I'm asked.
Thank you. Mrs. Hollinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, want to congratulate Ms. Moore in your office. That's wonderful. I'm a big supporter of the Humane Society, as you probably may know, but my husband does a lot of legislative work in regards to animal cruelty legislation, so that's kind of dear to me. So congratulations. Award in 2020. He did, yes. Correct. So thank you for that. I just want to say thank you to Ms. Mossholder for your remarks. I don't share this very often, but I was raised in a home with drug addiction. So I understand partly how that works and how it affects everybody in your house, in your family, in your community. And so it's nice to have someone out there trying to educate people on the reason addiction starts. There are many different reasons, but I appreciate that. I want to thank Mr. Babcock for your kind remarks. So it's been 22 years for me since I've sat up here, which, by the way, I've sat in this exact seat 22 years ago. But I don't remember having someone, a citizen's comment was just thanking everybody all the time. I remember all the nasty remarks sometimes. So I really appreciate that. That was very kind of you. So thank you for that.
Don't get used to it.
And like Mr. Harris, I've been on the losing side as well. And I can, with 100% honesty, say that sometimes you can win by losing. I did. It's hard to take, but there's a reason for it. God works in mysterious ways, and I believe that He has a path for everybody. And my path's coming back 22 years, but you never know what your path's going to be either. So thank you all for being very welcoming and a warm welcome today. So.
Thank you. Mr. Labutus.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I need to call a personnel committee for December 6th. And then want to thank everyone that ran in the elections last time. It always takes a lot of guts to do so, a lot of hard work to do so. So for all those that ran, thank you for that. I'd also like to welcome Sherry to council as well. I've worked in many different ways previously. I look forward to serving with you on council as well. So that I will yield.
Thank you, Mr. Labutus. Mr. Mark.
Thank you, Mr. President. I need to first of all call a finance committee meeting. I want to thank everybody who ran in the elections. I think this is the first time that every single race was contested, and I really think that the voters deserve a choice, and I think that that went well. I encourage those that were not successful to continue on and continue to be involved. I always appreciate everybody's contributions. I think everybody that serves really does have the best interest of Newark at heart, and they try to make it a better place to live, work, and worship. I want to congratulate the Law Director's Office on your award. That is fantastic, and I know that it's not an easy job and to do as far as being passionate about that. However, it is something that's necessary. And it's sad situations, but I appreciate what the office has done to help combat that. Everett, I think I need to gather some additional information from you after the meeting, if you don't mind, as far as some of the comments that you make. But I appreciate those comments and everybody's comments that commented this evening. I do appreciate the information that you bring and the learning experiences that we can all learn by. Need to welcome Sherry back. I can say that. So since I served with her previously, and look forward to working with her She was a huge asset when I served with her previously, and I think she'll be a great asset to the team again. So welcome back. And finally, I want to congratulate the NC football team. They're moving on. So they're going to play Saturday in New Philly. If you want to see a good football game, they're playing Shadyside, who's a very good football team, has a good program. If you do want to go and see the football game, get there early. The parking is horrible in New Philly, so get there early in order to get some decent parking. But it should be a good event and a good game, and hopefully they'll continue with their success. So I want to congratulate the football team, the players, the coaches, and the family and the community. And with that, I will pass.
Thank you, Mr. Marmy. Is that the division final or is that?
The regional finals.
Regional final.
Mhm.
Thank you. Mr. Rath.
Thank you. I'll start out with calling a service committee meeting for the 6th. Jerry, I want to welcome you to council. Look forward to working with you. For everybody that ran, thank you. And I agree with Mr. Marmy. Everybody does deserve a choice. It was nice to have a contested race in all of the races, at least for council. And congratulations to the winners. We also are not going to meet again before Thanksgiving, so I will wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and hope you have a good family time and safe travels. And then also, before we meet again, is one of the biggest hunting events of the year in Ohio. It's always a big event in Ohio. A lot of people participate in it, especially in Lincoln County, and that's deer gun season. So I encourage everybody to be safe and wish everybody good fortune in that as well.
Thank you, Mr. Rath, and Mr. Barker.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would again echo everyone's comments tonight about those who ran. Win or lose, we need to have people engaged in the process and give the voters a choice, and we all did that. And so I appreciate everybody who ran, win or lose. Please stay involved. Want to congratulate the Law Director's Office on that award. That's fantastic to hear. And probably the biggest thing, I remember saying this last year, actually first one, I want to congratulate Sherry. I know where she was 2 years ago this time, when I was first appointed. So Sherry, I'm ecstatic to have you on the city council again, and look forward to working with you. And then where I was last year, where I got to announce some not so fun news, tonight I get to announce some fun news. As many of you know, I'm the president of Lincoln County Courthouse Lighting, and this year we will be returning to downtown Newark with an in-person event to kick off the Christmas season here in Newark. So that will be November 26th, starting at 6 p.m. You'll want to make sure to get down there earlier. The last time we had this event in person, we had probably a little over 6,000 people in downtown Newark. And so we're looking forward to having this event back in person again. The Canal Market District that same day will also have their Christmas market. I was told earlier this morning that it is completely sold out with vendors, and they are looking forward to it. It starts at 3 p.m. that same day and runs right up to right before Santa Claus comes into town. So hopefully everyone will have a great Thanksgiving, not be too tired from Thanksgiving turkey and shopping to come out that next evening and enjoy the lights in downtown. And with that, Mr. President, I will pass.
Thank you, Mr. Barker. That's such a great event. It's always fun. It's always fun to watch the kids. And you're pretty sure Santa's gonna make it.
Yeah, I've talked to him a couple times.
Okay.
It's on his calendar.
All right, that'll be exciting.
No.
No, I'm good. I can. Sherry, I'd like to welcome you back. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're back. I think you do a great job. And with that, our next meeting will be December 6th. Committees at 5:45, full council at 7 o'clock. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Harris, second by Mr. Lewis. All in favor, signify by saying aye.